Hello humans, non-humans, and stuffies of all shapes and sizes. We've finally been able to get to the next participation awards. It's about bunnies, floofies, mini snuffleupagus, rabbits. And where else would a plague of seemingly adorable animals create a rampage but Australia?
Mostly, I've been on my way to Australia. For 4 years? Well, it takes some people a little longer than others.
Except this movie doesn't take place there. It takes place in the late great state of Arizona. If this is your first time here, the participation awards are based on absolutely nothing and have no consistency whatsoever. If the Oscars can make arbitrary decisions, so can we.
Thank you. You love me. You really love me.
If you feel like watching further, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and with that, let's look at the 1964 movie, Night of the Lepus. Bunnies may seem like a silly choice on the surface. I can accurately report that these bun-buns can be a destructive force to behold. Many's the number of phone chargers, shoes, books, and furniture that's been destroyed by those little teefers.
He do, nibble your bum.
He's got huge, sharp... he can leap about... Look at the bones!
Go on, boss, chop its head off.
Right, silly little beater. One rabbit, two, coming right up.
The movie starts out ominously, talking about how European rabbits became an invasive species. According to National Geographic, in 1859, a wealthy man named Thomas Austin needed something to hunt in his backyard, and with more money than brains, felt that schlepping these animals from across the world was a good idea, losing 10 points.
This imbalance also takes place in the animal world. This film, which our researchers have gathered together, was shot in Australia in 1954, where a plague of rabbits has been and still is a threat. Rabbits so numerous that they threaten man's existence by devouring his crops, killing animals, and destroying property. Has man the right to defend himself against an enemy that threatens his life and property?
Since being introduced into the southern hemisphere country, they proliferated and wreaked havoc on the land. And if 50 years seems like a short time, keep in mind that rabbits can reproduce year-round, up to 4 times a year, each time about 2 to 5 in a litter. So if he started with lucky 13, some sources have around 20, let's go with the smallest number for illustration and assume 6 of those were female rabbits. With 6 rabbits, 4 litters a year, with anywhere between 2 to 5 fluff balls each, we get 48 to 120 furry poofs in the first year, and it's just going to go up from there. So it might start small, but they'll increase in number. And we've got that cute face. How can you not love them?
Bart, I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do. Your lizards are banned by federal law.
Everyone thinks they're monsters, but I raised them and I love them. I know that's hard to understand.
Not as hard as you think.
But the history lesson isn't done yet, because Australia has had quite a problem dealing with this and completed building the state barrier fence of Western Australia in 1950. It's supposed to keep various animals out of the pastoral lands, but obviously that didn't work. Feel free to look further into that history, it's weirdly fascinating.
Still, they remain our most widespread and destructive pest, inhabiting around 70% of the continent, impacting on more than 300 species of native plants and animals.
This movie stars Janet Leigh. You may recall her from such films as Psycho, Touch of Evil, and Hello Down There.
You've been reading the cards, haven't you?
I've been doing the accounts.
Come on, read my future for me.
You haven't got any.
What do you mean?
Your future is all used up.
But again, we lose a point within the start of the film because the horse found the bunny burrow by accident, broke a leg, and we gotta take the horse out. I understand nature is brutal, but we could have started the film after this happened and just explained? There's enough in this film that it wasn't necessary. This is a hint of things to come, as the scientist in charge of handling these animals seems to have nary a care about how to handle these mammals or the correct way to conduct experiments. Exhibit A. It's daytime and he shakes the box of bats to record the sound of fear. Losing a point. First off, it's daytime. How do you know it's the sound of fear and not the sound of anger after their sleep is interrupted? If it pleases the court, I would like to submit Exhibit B. Shouldn't his daughter be in school? I recognize that it's possible it's summer, but she doesn't need to be here for all this. It's not like she's hanging out with her parents after school, she's with them all day. However, this part weirdly reminds me of an early internet game. 1 point for surprise connection to Lenny Loose Jocks and Cane Toad Explode.
Let's go popping!
Exhibit C as to why this man should not be a scientist in any means of the word. This is not how you handle a mini kaiju. Or this one.
What's the matter with him, Mommy?
Well, we were trying to make Jack a little more like Jill and Jill a little more like Jack so they wouldn't keep having such large families.
You simply can't shoot them full of hormones without setting their nervous system into shock. It can mean months developing the right lab procedure.
Again, losing a point. Yeah, there's a lot to transport, but why? Why the trash can, sir? If you're trying to keep them from making more bunnies, you have to separate them. That's also assuming they make it through the car ride without ending up in shock. At least the child knows how to properly handle them, so she gets a point. But not you, sir. This poor kid is going to be so traumatized that middle school will be a breeze. I would now like to present further evidence to the court. Exhibit D. Out of all the rabbits in the lab, he deliberately chooses his daughter's favorite bunny as the test subject instead of leaving the bunny in the control room.
Not that one, Mommy. It's my favorite.
Apparently, this is the villain. In certain birth defects. Causes hereditary changes.
Will it transmit to other rabbits?
Well, I should have...
Losing a point for injecting your weird serum into the one bunny you promised her she could have. Supposedly this particular bunny has some genetic thing they're looking at, but it still feels a bit hinky. However, the daughter gets 5 points because she switches them around so her bunny is part of the control group after the injection. That's what you get for being mean-spirited with nature, bub.
Karma!
The film goes on and Karma bites him in the butt because her bun gets loose. Surely the one wabbit won't be that terrible, right? They happen upon some wabbit twags. The kids are trying to find Captain Billy, which just seems like an odd nickname for someone who appears to be a hermit living in a cabin by an abandoned mine. But there's no time to dwell on this because the cast says shaft way too many times. You can say mine, losing a point.
I ran out and got her. She was just coming out of the mine shaft. You old bloody murder.
Did you see anything? Anything at all?
I can't say I did, Mr. Bennett. Although, there might have been something moving around just inside the shaft. I couldn't be sure. Everything happened too fast.
It's especially stupid because less than 10 minutes later in the movie, we've learned our lesson and now refer to it as a mine. Make it make sense. Even though these bunnies are destructive and seemingly bloodthirsty, they're only going after people's heads. It's a bit odd in comparison to picking them up and bopping them on the head, especially considering they're puncturing metal trucks and gnawing through these oversized Tonka trucks. Obviously, this means the floofs are doing this for fun and not because they need to eat the humans that they stampede over. Then we meet a real scientist that seems to be following actual rules and guidelines. His suggesting that it's a saber-toothed tiger for doing the damage is a bit off, but he's hella closer than the other supposed scientist would be. 10 points. All of this is going on, and what is the university worried about? Publicity. You know who they should be worried about? This dinklefart of a wannabe scientist who thinks it's fun to mess with nocturnal flying mammals. Losing a point. Maybe if the university hired actual scientists, they wouldn't have to worry about PR.
But I think we can put our differences behind us. For science, you monster.
Leggies and jungle fins of the jury, I say it is now time for Exhibit E. They drop a rock into the tunnel and it hits the rabbit and the rabbit screams. Between that and the bats and the fear sound, the science has left this movie. You know, if you back a prey animal into a corner, they fight back. Then he goes into the mine because he has to do something for science, which is just moving on. However, the bunny stampede is adorable. Point. And here they come around the bend. It's me first, followed by no, me first, and a third we have left turn here. And who's that bringing up the rear? It's Lucky Charms making their way up to the front. I mean, your odds of being unalived by a bun are low, but never zero.
Why don't you go home and cry to your granny? Dolph, tie up the brat. Lisa, hold the book. Vincent, get the truck. And Keith, darn it, change your name, please. That's not scary, and I'm embarrassed to say it.
It isn't until we get about 70% of the way through the movie that it starts to feel like a horror film. Why won't you let them in? They're at the shed door. In all seriousness, I feel like I should add a point every time they show the bunny stampede because, oh, you're so cute. Point. Well, I reckon we should take a gander to see what the sheriff is up to. Turns out he can't be bothered to go out and see what's going on and just takes his sweet time. Uh-oh. Red sky and warning, sailor take warning. Just felt like throwing that in. We soon see the square footage of Fluffle hanging out in the general store. For those unaware, rabbits are crepuscular, meaning they're most active at dawn and dusk, craving attention, gnawing everything in reach, and chinning property. The rest of the time, they nap quite a bit, much like a cat. So this movie does get that right, and bunnies start to be on the move again when darkness falls. At first, they try to evacuate the town, and they need the railway as part of their plan, and they work with the guy in the office that pushes buttons.
No, I pushed a button. No, you pushed a button. I pushed a button. Now your turn, my turn. I pushed a button.
Sheriff Cody here. Now, what happened to that train?
Sheriff, I told you there's a slow freight on the line. There's nothing I can do about it.
Well, where is it now?
Be about 5 minutes before it crosses that switch.
Much like the sheriff, the railroad man is in absolutely no rush. The National Guard are at least doing their job and trying to make sure the plan goes off without a hitch. This seems to work, and I'll give a point for showing the bunnies lying down and not anything that might actually hurt the bun-buns. Can't say the same for the so-called scientists who shouldn't be allowed near animals, or people for that matter. We reach the end of the movie and we are faced with the cold eyes of the rabbit staring down the camera. But he's normal size, so, it's okay. And that's the movie. The credits are super short, so point for that. Overall, a total of 10 points. The movie is okay, and I have a soft spot for bunnies, so it just makes me happy to see fluff balls. Thanks for making it this far. Until next time. Toodles!
Well, I was wrong. The lizards are a godsend.
But isn't that a bit short-sighted? What happens when we're overrun by lizards?
No problem. We simply unleash wave after wave of Chinese needle snakes. They'll wipe out the lizards.
But aren't the snakes even worse?
Yes, but we're prepared for that. We've lined up a fabulous type of gorilla that thrives on snake meat.
But then we're stuck with gorillas!
No, that's the beautiful part. When wintertime rolls around, the gorillas simply freeze to death.
My little bun bun, my little bun bun, your fluffiness just can't be beat. My little bun bun, my little bun bun.